What is going on, guys? Jesse here. It's the new year, and what better way to start it off than by revamping your workspace? And I don't know about you guys, but recently I've been really into the whole minimal all-white aesthetic. And don't get me wrong, I'm still a fan of dark and moody setups too, and my main setup does have a darker look to it, but there's just something really satisfying about having a setup that's lighter and brighter and makes everything feel a little bit cleaner and cozier. So if you're not super familiar with my desk setups, I usually tend to be kind of on the maximalist side, with pretty much every square inch taken up. But with this one, I really try to keep it down to just the bare essentials to make it as minimal as possible. Now, a great desk setup always starts with the desk, and for that I'm using the Foley Jarvis L-shaped standing desk. Unfortunately though, Foley was bought by Herman Miller and you can no longer actually buy this desk, so I'll leave it at that, but it served me very well for many years. But just to give you guys a sense of scale and how big everything is, this measures in at 72 inches on the long side, 60 inches on the short side, and it's 30 inches deep on both sides. So the centerpiece of any setup is going to be the monitor, and for this one I've got the LG UltraGear 48-inch OLED. And a lot of you who follow the channel might be a little bit surprised to see this here, because I did in fact make another video about how I wasn't really a fan of this. But since that video I've kept it around, used it on and off, and over that period my opinion on it has flip-flopped back and forth on whether or not I like it about 100 times. Because there's definitely a lot of great benefits, but there's also a lot of drawbacks as well. Currently though, I am actually enjoying it quite a bit. OLEDs have always kind of sketched me out because I'm always worried about burn-in, and even though they've added all these anti-burn-in features like pixel shift and whatnot, a part of me still just feels a little uneasy. But you still just can't really beat the contrast ratios of OLED, and the image really does look incredible on this thing. Also, the size does come in really handy for stuff like video editing where you have about 10 panels all fighting for space, or for gaming and watching content where that extra size gives you that extra bit of immersion. So I've got that mounted on this monitor arm from Ergotron. If you've been in the desk setup game for pretty much any amount of time, you've probably heard of this one, and it definitely is on the pricier side, but I just love the look that it gives you where you can almost make it look like the monitor is floating. But if you have a monitor this big, you definitely want a really sturdy monitor arm, and this one can handle it no sweat. Almost as important as having a good monitor though is having good audio. I personally really like to listen to music while doing work, and having good audio for that as well as watching content and playing games is pretty self-explanatory. So the speakers I have here I've had for actually quite a while now. These are the Kanto Tux on stands that are also from Kanto. And I'm gonna be honest, when I first got these it was like 99% for the look. Like, these are just some of the most beautiful speakers that I've ever seen, and when I first saw them I just knew I had to have them. And honestly, no regrets, because they fit this setup absolutely perfectly. And the good thing is that they not only look great, they sound awesome too, especially if you pair it with their sub 8 woofer. Like, they don't really need it, like they sound fine without the woofer, but you really just can't beat the punch of a dedicated sub, and this pairing really delivers. I'm also a pretty big fan of the stands because the column is hollow and you can run cables through it to keep a tidier look. And to give the rest of the desk a tidier look and to connect everything together, I've got this Thunderbolt dock from Corsair. Basically, all my peripherals like my monitor and speakers plug into this dock, and then I can just route this one Thunderbolt cable under the desk to my laptop for a cleaner look. Like, without this, I would just have to plug everything directly into my laptop, which would just be an absolute mess. And it's really nice how this has such a low profile, so I can just slide it under the monitor here. Also, to help with that cleaner look, I got this under desk drawer from Vivo specifically so I could just slide my laptop under the desk. To try and keep the clutter down to a minimum, it was important to take as much stuff as possible off the desktop, and that includes the computer if possible. And this under desk drawer does that perfectly quickly and even has a felt layer on top to prevent any accidental scratches that might come up. And of course, having some extra storage is always handy to have too, just like a good desk pad. I really like them because I feel like it really makes the keyboard and mouse feel like they're not just hanging out in space without a home, and it also just doubles as a really big mouse pad. This one from Orbitkey is especially nice because it has a couple of features that are really quite unique. So first, it's dual layered. So if you have documents that you like to reference pretty often, you can just lift up that first layer and place them there. And once you're done, they can be hidden without cluttering up your desk. It also has this magnetic railing up top that you can use for their cable management anchors or just to place things like pens or glasses. For the mouse, I'm going with the trusty Logitech MX Master 3. This thing is pretty awesome. I've mentioned this thing about 1,000 times on the channel already, so I won't get too into it, but it's fantastic and the white color really goes well with the setup. The only thing though is that the white will start to discolor over time. Like, I've been very careful with this. I haven't been within 10 miles of this thing with a Cheeto. I've always made sure my hands are clean and I wipe it down at least once a week, but it's still starting to show some discoloration. You've been warned. So unlike the mouse, the keyboard usually changes every few weeks just because I like to try new things out. But the one I got right now is the OnePlus mechanical keyboard. So in case you guys didn't hear, OnePlus, the smartphone maker, teamed up with Keychron a few months ago to come out with this board. And honestly, it's pretty nice. It's got a super heavy duty all aluminum case with a gasket mounted PCB, hot swap, and a knob. Personally, I think they did a great job with the design and color choices, and overall I'm a fan. And even though this keyboard does have Bluetooth, I decided to hook it up to the computer via this aviator cable from Glorious. Usually I like to keep cable clutter to a minimum, but I think even with a minimal setup like this, having a good hit of color and some personality here and there is kind of nice. And the red from the cable matches pretty much perfectly with the accent colors on the keyboard, and the coil is a pretty cool touch as well. Next, I think a good desk setup always has a good spot for you to charge up your devices. So I got this dual wireless charger from Samsung. Nothing too special about it. It just has a spot for you to charge both your phone and your earbuds at the same time, which is pretty nice. For everything else though, I have this powered grommet that has AC, USB-C, and USB-A. So between those, I'm covered for pretty much anything I could ever want to charge. For some extra storage, I also have this pegboard from IKEA that I've got some keyboards displayed on. I feel like a good pegboard organizer is always really satisfying, and for years I kept on seeing them pop up on Instagram, but they were pretty much always wall mounted. And one of the annoying things about standing desks is that you can't really mount anything to the wall near them because you risk them getting knocked off as the desk moves up and down. But then I found out that they make these desk clamps for them, which totally changed the game for me. Now, instead of getting knocked off the wall, it just moves with the desk. Right now I don't have much in there, but it's nice to know that I have the extra storage if I need it. And the last thing I wanted to go over is probably one of the most underrated aspects of a good desk setup in my opinion, and that's lighting. I think it just does a lot to bring the whole setup to life, and it's what separates a good setup from a great setup. And it's really not that hard either. Basically, all I've done here is added a light strip along with these Hue play bars to the back of the desk to kind of give it a glow effect, and the BenQ screen bar to light up the surface in front of the desk. And adding all this lighting just helps kind of even it out. And I feel like you can really see the difference of when I have it on versus off. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on in the setup. One last little bonus item I wanted to mention before I wrap this video up though is about having some cool artwork. This is a great way to show a little personality and spice the space up a bit. And if you like any of the prints that you see here on the wall, I'm happy to announce that I'm selling them on my website now at jchen.store. So if you guys didn't know, when I'm not doing YouTube, I'm a professional photographer. And whenever I travel, I always like to take some cool photos so I can print them out and put them on the wall. These ones on here are just a couple of the ones that I have on the website, but I've got plenty more on there, and purchasing one for yourself would be a great way for you to support the channel. The website's still super basic, so don't judge me too hard, but I would really appreciate you guys checking it out. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video and found some inspiration for your own setups. I'll try to have everything linked in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.